There are quite a few psychological skills that athletes can train. Of course, every sport demands for different types of psychological skills. And just to give you an example, high skill, short time versus, wouldn't say lower skill, but something like that, but long competition like endurance sports are completely different in psychological training. In first, one has to learn self-regulation precisely every time when it's necessary. In endurance sports, it's concentration skills. It doesn't matter if one day an athlete feels this or that. It doesn't matter that much how one can regulate themselves. For them, it's concentration. To stay focused, to stay calm, to stay persistent on the race. Quite an easy way of doing it is reflection, either about oneself or reflecting about the team or one's athletes. It's asking these questions. What several psychological skills are most important in this or this or this sport? Which means finding 3 or 4 of these skills gives opportunity to integrate them into everyday training routines, meaning that many exercises can be done from more sides, from more perspectives. Instead of just running fast, you can run fast with concentrating on specific skill, specific thing. Instead of riding long, one can ride long and work with phrases, for example, repeating motivational phrases for oneself. Team sports. In team sports, extremely important is communication. And it's a skill, it's a psychological skill. It's not enough if people communicate with one another. Enough it's when they communicate efficiently towards same goals. In team sports as well, high importance is in concentration skills, meaning that athletes have to learn to focus their attention very narrowly when it's, let's say, a free throw. And at the same time, they have to be able to focus broadly, to open up their focus to see the whole field. Like in one glance of the eyes, they can see all the players and all the movements on the field. In gymnastics, for example, it's very important to learn self-regulation skills. So long-term, athlete can learn, let's say, to feel the same, no matter the day, time, competition, pressure, and so on. One has to learn to self-regulate perfectly. As I mentioned, in endurance sports, it's about concentration skills. When the energy goes down, one has to learn to concentrate, to be mentally tough, and just to go through. All of these examples I mentioned to understand that every sport asks for something different. It's also important to mention that psychological work also takes time and persistence. Every athlete understands that being here where one is took years. And psychological work also takes time. Maybe not that many years, and many of the things are developed in quite high level for many athletes. In this case, I mean working with the details, meaning that quite quickly it's possible to understand which specific psychological skills an athlete needs to train, making a program for that and working towards that. Usually I would say it could take several weeks to several months, depending on the situation. For each skill, several weeks to several months. These can be few. I would say 2 to 3 skills to improve your results objectively. Me, as a sports psychological coach, I come into the teams and look from perspective. I try to look from a side, trying to understand the big picture. If people are invested and they look from the inside, sometimes they can miss something. And therefore, coach like me, I can be quite valuable, although teams can work without me, of course. My contribution can be valuable specifically from this perspective, that I can look from the outside, looking at these systems, how these systems work together, how these people work together, how this person with all of the different aspects works in specific sport. Also looking at one's mind. It's not that easy. There are many different parts in the mind, and asking many different questions, I can see lots of the things. So this work is very, very interesting for me. Starting from the mind, from some specific things, then we get to the broader questions about physical, technical aspects of the sport. Then we get again to broader perspective about relationships, about team, about values, about one's everyday life. And looking at this as a system as such, I can give, I think, to most athletes and teams quite valuable insights and training methods how to improve psychological skills with training, not just motivational phrases. You can do it. It's good to do that. I like to keep things more practical and objective in this sense, where I work with things that are not practical and objective mostly. It's like mind stuff. Alright, I wish you the best results. Do some self-reflection, asking 2 or 3 things that would be most important from psychological perspective in your sport. And you will see how to work with them or find online.